Hi, and welcome to 647, 6 stories for 7 a.m. because, well, there's a famine of truth in our land. And this is your quick news fix. And the truth starts now. And I can't believe how lucky you are. You had 4 tapas offerings on a Monday. Now you got 3 on a Tuesday. I don't know who you know, but the chef is indulging that person. All right. So the first offering is Kash Patel linking furries to Antifa to Grantifa. Let's go, Kash. FBI Director Kash Patel tells Just the News that the Bureau is on the verge of unmasking the command structures and financing for anarchist groups like Antifa that have unleashed unrest around America and has also identified potential new criminal activity related to the abuse of federal law enforcement and intelligence, right? Stop working at the street level. Get the people who are funding it all. We're looking at so many different leads on criminal activity by those who are in positions of power, and we're not going to stop until every single one of those is fully exposed. When asked whether more indictments against those accused of weaponizing government may be ahead, he said, "The documents are provided either to Congress or the courts of law, and we make every referral we can under the Department of Justice." These indictments that you've seen and the ones that you're going to see coming up here in the near future are just the beginning. The director, a close ally of President Donald Trump, has pressed his team to uncover tens of thousands of pages of documents long withheld from Congress that chronicle abuses by law enforcement and intelligence agencies in scandals spanning from Russiagate to the Ukraine impeachment to the January 6th Capitol riot to the raid on Trump's Mar-a-Lago home in Florida. That's it. Tapas offering 2. Minnesota schools, Black-only classes. Going to get them in trouble. An education organization filed a racial discrimination complaint with the U.S. Department of Education over Black-only classes at Minneapolis public schools. Tim Walz, what are you going to do? The organization Defending Education filed the complaint last Friday, alleged that MPS, Minnesota Public Schools, has violated Title VI in the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Several MPS high schools prohibit white and Asian students from enrolling in certain courses on Black culture, according to the complaint. The courses count towards Minnesota Public Schools electives requirement, meaning that white and Asian students must choose from a narrower list of class options in order to graduate. There are 2 courses, one for Black male students and another for Black female students, called Black Culture, Building Lives, Acquiring Cultural Knowledge. Gotta love libs, right? All right, Tapas 3, National Guard going to Portland. Gotta love this. A federal appeals court on Monday delivered a significant win for President Donald Trump by lifting a court order that blocked him from deploying National Guard troops to Portland amid his multi-city crackdown on crime. The 3-judge panel on the 9th Circuit, right? That is the most lefty circuit that does all these things to block Trump. And here they are doing the right thing. Lifted a lower court ruling that blocked the Trump administration twice so far from deploying National Guard troops to Portland amid heavy protests. The troops are expected to protect federal officers and buildings. These are protecting ICE and I guess police also, although in Portland, the police department is in total cahoots with Antifa. The order comes after Ninth Circuit restored Trump's control of the National Guard troops last week, but kept a hold on the troops being deployed until Monday. The judges ruled that Trump could have his own reasons for wanting to deploy National Guard troops, I guess because he's the commander in chief, maybe. That it is not widely known to the public after the administration argued that courts need to give a great level of deference to the president's determination to federalize the National Guard. This is a revelation, apparently, in Portland. Thank you for that, Ninth Court. What a bunch of nut jobs. All right. Take two. Top White House economics advisor predicts government shutdown will end this week, warns of stronger measures. So this is so ridiculous. You know, I read the interviews with congressmen and senators, and they're going, oh, no, this is going to go past Thanksgiving. And then here's the guy advising the White House, the economic advisor, and he's saying, yeah, I think they're going to give it up this week. Why would he say that? Let's get to it. National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett predicted Monday that the ongoing government shutdown is likely to end sometime this week, but warned the Trump administration may impose stronger measures if the funding impasse continues. So big threats if you don't come to the table. Speaking on CNBC's Squawk Box, Hassett suggested Democrats were waiting to vote to reopen the government until, are you ready? Here's what they're waiting for. Until after this weekend's nationwide No Kings, Hate America protests against President Donald Trump. White House economic advisor Hassett says the shutdown could end this week. Why is that? Because No Kings sucked. It didn't get there. All the legacy media said 7 million people. BS. I looked all over the place. Absolutely not true. Okay? So this is what they were waiting for. Can you imagine being that pathetic that you're going to wait to open the government to see if the No Kings rally was going to show you so much muscle and leverage and how many millions of people hate Donald Trump and don't accept him as an authoritarian king? So I kept trying to see what's going on. They would not show it because it was a bad turnout. And the turnout they had, all those clowns from Woodstock from decades ago, they're all in their blue hair and their Birkenstocks with their ukuleles and their handmade signs, right? This corporately, Soros gave millions and millions of dollars for all of this to happen. But he said, we can't have those print shop signs. You're going to have to do it yourself with magic markers so it looks like there's not funding for this. It's pathetic. Okay, so New York City, guess what? The NYPD didn't even open their Joint Operations Center called the JOC, okay? When any kind of potential issue happens, they open the Joint Operations Center. They didn't even do that. I got that from my insider, a doc buddy of mine who knows. DC, just nuisance nonsense, goofballs. LA, San Francisco, same thing. The only place that had a turnout was Houston. And guess why? There's all these Latinos down there that they got friends and relatives and they want them to stay or they want them to come over and they want it to be easy. So of course there's a huge turnout down there, but it doesn't give the Dems any leverage. So they sat and watched. They told the legacy media, oh my God, it's a worldwide movement and everyone hates Donald Trump, and nobody bought it. Nobody bought it because the mainstream media has just no wind in their sails anymore. So that's it. They got nothing. And Trump's going to threaten them even more. And it's going to cost them even more. And there'll be more people asked to leave their jobs. And so all of that affects the Dems and contributions and votes. And so no go. Take 3. Trump winning the Schumer shutdown. Far left CNN has been forced to admit that President Trump is winning the political debate against the Democrats and the fake media in the ongoing government shutdown battle, right? If you watch legacy media, they're saying, oh no, Americans don't like this. They don't like this. Trump is losing this. During the government shutdown in Trump's first term, the president watched his approval ratings drop by 3 points as an average of 61% of those polled primarily blamed him. That was back in 2016. Okay, fast forward to today, and Trump's average approval rating during the shutdown is up by a point, as fewer than half of those polled, 48%, blame him for the shutdown. What I find even more remarkable is that Trump's numbers sit where they do today, even though the president has said he intends to use the shutdown to fire bureaucrats and permanently shutter government programs beloved by Democrats. And it's not just Trump saying that. His administration has made clear that they intend to take advantage of the shutdown for this purpose, and the effort has already begun. So here's what the Orange Roughie does. He makes a list of every social justice program that is a boondoggle and a pool of money that these guys all have their hands in, and he goes, you don't come to the table and give us a clean CR, then we are going to strike all of these programs that you are all robbing the people through. So the legacy media has lost their mojo and they cannot help. And there's nothing more for these clowns but to come to the table. That doesn't mean they will. They're obstinate. And if they have any hope, if they pathetically were clinging to the no kings nonsense this weekend and Grand Tifa, who knows what they would cling to. But my hope is they'll come to the table and they'll do, okay, we'll do a CR through the end of the year, and then we'll take this up again in January. And then they hope that, I don't know, AOC is going to spring horns and that's going to get them over the thing. Who can tell? Take 4. Trump signs rare earths deal with Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese during White House meeting. You see what he's doing, right? China thinks they're going to strangle off everybody with these rare earths. And Trump, he's making deals. He's got people coming to the White House. He's getting some here, some here, some here. He's got futures going. He's got the Department of Defense owning equity stakes in rare earths in our own country. And that influx of money is escalating all the activity. He's playing chess with the Chi-Coms. They got the leverage right now. He's going to get them. Trust me. President Donald Trump and Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese signed a rare earths and critical minerals deal Monday at the White House during Trump's latest bilateral meeting with yet another world leader. Trump, fresh off a trip to the Middle East to codify a historic peace deal, followed by a meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky last week, hosted Albanese in the cabinet room on Monday during a press conference. So we're going to be here to talk about lots of different things, and we might take a few questions before, but we're discussing critical minerals and rare earths, and we're going to be signing an agreement that's been negotiated over a period of 4 or 5 months, Trump said moments before signing. So it was a sort of good timing, he said. We got done just in time for the visit. Yeah, my ass. And we worked together before much on rare earths, critical minerals, and lots of other things. And we've had a very good relationship, and we've been working on that for quite a while. Albanese lauded the agreement as taking the United States-Australia relationship to the next level. And then he said, "Thank you, Your Majesty." All right, let's go. Take 5. Show me the money. House Republicans are blowing away Democrats in fundraising, which is particularly significant in an off year. The National Republican Congressional Committee, that's NRCC, National Republican Congressional Committee. I'm saying that because I'm not going to say those 4 words over and over again. We're going to use an acronym. Okay, so House Republicans had a record-breaking fundraising haul in the third quarter of the year, bringing in $24 million from July through September. Of that, $14 million arrived in September alone. For greater perspective, the NRCC raised 9.3 in September of 2023. So 9.3 then, 24 million now. Things are way, way better. In 2023's third quarter, the NRCC raised 18.5 million total. So we're way up. This announcement comes as NRCC patriots in swing districts have outraised vulnerable incumbent Democrats for the third consecutive quarter. NRCC Chairman Richard Hudson stated House Republicans are firing on all cylinders. Our majority funded the federal government, and we're delivering for working families and building unstoppable momentum heading into 2026. With President Trump leading the charge and voters rallying behind our conservative agenda, we are raising record-breaking resources to hold the House and grow our majority. And let's just say, for Democrats, it's hard to compete when the NGO stealing machine is closed down. So that's like an open ATM for those clowns whenever an election is coming up. So they don't have that source to just go grab hunks of cash from. Good on you. All right, take 6. This is our advanced reprobate mind study, and we're studying Big Z, Vladimir Zelensky. He definitely, this boy's got the reprobate broken mind, right? And I'm afraid that our rhino senators broke this man's mind. He believes that all he has to do is yell, "I need weapons," and he's buying mansions somewhere else and putting billions of dollars away in Swiss accounts and offshores, and he's completely addicted now, and he cannot control himself. So President Donald Trump reported last Friday, used his Oval Office meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to urge the European leader to accept Russian peace terms. That's not what Big Z was hoping for. Though the meeting began with a relatively cordial public comment period in which the pair fielded questions from reporters, it descended into a shouting match in private, the Financial Times reported. Zelensky arrived in Washington with the hope of securing long-range Tomahawk missiles for Ukraine, though he left without a commitment from Trump on the matter. The reported exchange marked a notable about-face from this is where the fun is, from a Truth Social post Trump made earlier this month, suggesting Ukraine could retake all of its territory, including Crimea, and that they may have to give them Tomahawk missiles. That was all to get Putin to the negotiating table. And it worked, but the master troll takes advantage of an arms sufferer because Big Z heard that and he thought, man, I'm getting them. I'm getting the Tomahawks. I'm going to be able to fire and hit Moscow and St. Petersburg. And NATO is going to flood me with money. And everybody, there'll be such distraction from all this and fear of World War III. This guy doesn't care about World War III. His biggest problem is his bug out plan. Which one of my multi-million-dollar mansions stacked with weapons and cash am I going to run to? That's his biggest problem. The reported exchange marked a notable about face, I guess. So Big Z, he's definitely got the reprobate mind. This guy, he's on the descent and he doesn't know it. Okay, he's not getting World War III, despite how much the rhinos want it, despite how much NATO wants it. You go, why would NATO want it? Because they're all broke. They got no money. And if there's a World War III, then they can gin up the money and get it from all kinds of folks who are going to make billions of dollars on the war. All it takes is a lot of deplorables dying. Okay, that's what feeds that machine. It's like a meat grinder. You put them in the top, you move the handle, and out comes money. So, not going to happen, Volodymyr. Big C had to go home with zip. And guess what? His mind is not going to be unbroken. And I don't care how much money he has, he is not going to have a way to make a wise decision. Capito? He's broken. The Stugats. Permanently. All right. But I'm not broken. Okay? And guess what? I got more comments and reaction from the Monday show. Okay? Because I was goofing James Brown. Now look, I am a digital journalist of sorts, and you cannot encourage me to make a fool of myself and patronize me like some minstrel on the street, okay? At least I won't do that today, okay? Today, I want some serious comments, not all this, hey, do that James Brown thing you do. No. I'm seriously trying to solve a famine here. And if those things come out occasionally, that's on you, okay? That's on me. I need you to like, to share, to make comments, to not encourage me to make a fool of myself, but encourage me to probe more deeply. I do these things, and the rhinos, they send me the stop notices. Get me off this list. I'm not going to be a party to this. I thought this was going to be Dan Rather. Yeah, I'd rather not be Dan Rather. So this is the way it is. And here's the real reason to be here. Because it's Tuesday. It's Tazewell Tuesday. You got some momentum. You got a couple good shows to push you and inform you. And you always get a blessing, because I always ask Jehovah God, the God of the universe, who created each and every one of us and everything that we operate with and any kind of success that we have with, it all comes from him. So please, dear God, bless this group of people as they head into their Tuesday. And thank you very much for attending the show, listening, subscribing, and thank you, God, for your constant creative input in all this. God bless you all. Thank you, Lord Jesus.